Harvard Law School Professor Emeritus and author of the book Preventive State. Alan Dershowitz joins me. Nice to see you, sir. And tell me, who wins on this one? I mean, what's going to happen?
Well, ultimately, the Trump administration wins on the merits. They have the right to decide who stays, who goes, where they go. But district court judges are going to put barriers in the way. They're going to demand that the administration dot every I and cross every T. And so we're going to see litigation. We're going to see some temporary victories for plaintiffs, as we got in the Columbia University student case. But in the end, the Trump administration will win. I think it was a wise decision by the Trump lawyers to seek clarification from the Supreme Court so that the judge, the district court judge, will have no excuse about not complying with Supreme Court orders. And so it's rare for the Supreme Court to give clarification. Generally, they will just deny review and say, look, we said what we said. It's up to the lower courts to interpret it. But I think in this case, they may very well, if it's get clarification. And we'll see what they decide. But I think in the end, the executive branch of government has the authority to deport people who are statutorily deportable to any country that will accept them. There's nothing in the Constitution that would preclude that.
Well, you and I both as defense lawyers, and maybe I'm speaking for myself. I mean, I know what kind of lawyer you were, so I'm going to speak for you on this. We would have fought tooth and nail to make sure, as you know, every T was crossed and every I was dotted to make sure. And it seems to me, my guess is that the lawyers down below, before these people, did just that, and the judge went along with that, making sure that all the procedural rights, making sure it's absolutely clear. But what I don't understand is why the U.S. Supreme Court, were they sort of sketchy or slip? I mean, were they just why did they create this crime? Or did they create the problem where there was uncertainty?
Well, here's one area where I disagree with you, which rarely happens. I think these immigration lawyers are not representing their individual clients. I think they're representing a cause. I'll give you an example.
I agree with that.
When we had this guy.
Let me stop. I agree with you on that, but I'm saying just an individual. I mean, they're all causes. I get that.
But I sometimes think they sacrifice the individual. This guy who was deported, and then he wanted to come back, and he came back, and they immediately indicted him and put him in jail for a crime which will result in him being locked up for many years instead of being able to stay where he was. Those lawyers didn't think hard or correctly about the interests of their own client. And I think a lot of these cause lawyers put causes before client interests, something we would never do as lawyers for individual clients. So I don't know.
In that instance, they're using their clients as props. I mean, they're not representing their clients. They're using their clients as props for some particular alternative, a different motive, some cause, and not representing the client.
I agree with you, and I think that's unethical. I think it's wrong. I think lawyers have to always wear blinders and think only about the interests of their client, not even the interests of the country, certainly not the interests of their party or the interests of their ideology. The client comes first, just like in medicine, do no harm. The patient comes first. And I think too many lawyers are cause lawyers before they become client lawyers.
All right, let me go back to the Supreme Court. Does the Supreme Court, were they a little bit, they weren't, clear in their decision? I mean, how do we even get a situation where it needs clarification?
Well, I think the Supreme Court has been unclear about a number of these immigration cases. They were unclear when they said in this other case that he had to be sent he couldn't be sent to whatever country it was. That's not what the lower court order was. The lower court order was that he just couldn't be sent to one particular country. So I think the Supreme Court sometimes rushes these things and gives maybe too much authority to law clerks. And I think they do, especially when the world is watching them, have to be much more careful and give very clear guidance so that nobody can say there was any ambiguity, because both sides are going to take advantage of any ambiguity and use it to their own advantage, or the individual, or the advantage of the cause, not necessarily the advantage of the client.
Well, I long for a decision that's not 6-3 along the political, political things people are saying about the justice. Boy, I'd love a few unanimous ones. Yeah,
we're going to get some. I think we'll get some. I think we'll get some on birthright citizenship. I think
people think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for The Record on Newsmax.